everyone, my name is Dr. Heather Sossaman and I'd like to welcome you back to Pediatric Therapy Essentials. In last week's video, we began our discussion on core muscles, and I gave you some great exercises that you can do with kids to work on their core muscles. But what if the child you're working with has movement limitations that won't allow them to do those type of core exercises? Is there anything you can do? Of course there is, and this week we're going to talk about it, so stick around. Hi everybody, and welcome back. In last week's video, we took a deep dive into core muscles. We talked about where they are, what they do, and why they're important. And if you'd like all of that information, you can check out that video, which is linked in the description box below. But the basics are this. Core muscles are an important group of muscles that surround the central part of our body known as the trunk. It's the area of our body where all of our vital organs are, and it's quite an important place. Now, core muscles are important because they provide stability to the central part of our body. And without that core stability, we can't have what's known as distal mobility. And distal mobility means that the parts distal to the body, which are furthest away from the center, like your arms, your legs, your hand, can't move around and do their job unless the core is strong and able to keep the body stable. So that's why core muscles are so important. Now that we know why core muscles are so important, let's talk about some ways that we can strengthen them in kids with movement limitations. Before we go through these great activities, there's two things that we need to talk about and get clear so that the activities work well. The first one is understanding what we're trying to accomplish. With these activities, we're activating the core in a sitting position because most of these kids have movement limitations. Now, if you're working with a child who's able to stand up independently, you can absolutely do these in a standing position. But the kids I'm talking about are the kids that can't stand up independently, and so we need to work in sitting. And when we're working in sitting, the way we activate the core is by moving our trunk forward, backwards, left, right, rotating, or twisting it. And the core muscles activate to initiate that movement, so to lean forward, to stop the core at the end of the movement, and then to pull the body back into upright sitting. So there's lots of activity going on in those core muscles. Now the second thing is, and in order to activate those muscles, you need to be in a really good sitting position. So if you have a child that you're working with who's able to sit in a chair by themselves, then you want to follow what's known as the 90-90-90 principle. And we're going to get into that a little bit deeper in one of the upcoming videos. But what's important to remember about the 90-90-90 principle is this. When you're sitting in a chair, the best posture for activity is one where you have a 90-degree angle between your upper body, or your trunk, and the seat of the chair, where your thighs are. And then you want another 90-degree angle between your upper thigh and your lower leg, which is a 90-degree at your knee. And then you also want to try to achieve a 90-degree angle between your shin, or your lower leg, and your foot on the floor. Now, what that means essentially when you're looking at a child sitting in a chair is not that you need to get out a measurement tape and make sure everything's exactly 90 degrees, but you want to look and make sure that a child is sitting up straight, that they're not slumped back in the chair, sitting on the upper part of their back, and you want to make sure that the chair is not so big that their legs are swinging and they're not having their feet flat on the floor, which is important for these exercises. Now, if you have a child that isn't able to sit in a standard chair, then I usually have my students sit in their adaptive device. Now, that could be a manual wheelchair, that could be a power chair, that could be some kind of adaptive chair like a Riften activity chair, or a first class chair, and the list goes on and on. There's a lot of great adaptive equipment out there. But whatever equipment your child is used to sitting in that gives them great support at their trunk and their legs and helps them maintain a great posture, that's what you want to use for these activities. The first activity is a pool noodle sword fight, which is one of my students' favorites. For this activity, you will need 2 pool noodles, cut to whatever size works best, and 2 chairs or other seating devices. The object of this activity is to hit your opponent's pool noodle with your own. The further from the middle your body leans to hit your opponent's noodle, the harder the game is. If the child has difficulty grasping or holding on to the pool noodle, you can simply use a wrap or soft sock to support their hand in place. Be very careful to make sure the wrap or sock isn't too tight. The next activity is tug of war. For this activity, you can use a piece of rope, a dog leash, or a pool noodle to play. You will also need 2 chairs or other seating devices. The object of this activity is to pull your opponent in all directions, challenging their core muscles. Just like the sword fight, the further from the middle your body leans, the harder this game is. The next activity is shaving cream art. This one is a little messy, but a lot of fun. For this activity, you will need a horizontal or vertical surface that can be cleaned, shaving cream or whipped cream, a chair or seating device. Depending on the child's ability level, this activity can be performed on a horizontal surface like a wheelchair tray, or a vertical surface like a mirror or sliding patio door, which is more challenging. The object of this activity is to smear the shaving cream all over the surface as far as you can reach. The further from the middle your body leans, the harder the activity is. The next activity is Simon Says. All you will need for this activity is a chair or seating device. When calling Simon commands, remember commands like touch your nose are easier than touch your knees, and commands like touch your feet are the most difficult. The further the child has to reach, the harder the game is. The next activity is the push-pull game. Again, all you will need for this activity is a chair or seating device. To play this game, sit across from your partner, lace your fingers with theirs, then try to push or pull each other forward and backward. Whether you are pulling your opponent or resisting their pushing, your core is hard at work. There are tons of other ways that kids with movement limitations can work on their core muscles in the sitting position. Some of my favorites are have a dance party. Have fun moving your arms and legs all over the place while dancing to engage those core muscles. Songs like YMCA have the great movements built right in. Kids can also help out with chores, like wiping the windows or the counters or pushing around a small mop like a Swiffer. I'm sure there are tons of other ideas out there for adapted core strength. If you have a favorite, I would love for you to leave it in the comment section of the video. I hope you enjoyed all the exercises and activities I showed you today. But please remember that even though I am a physical therapist, I'm not your physical therapist. So before you start any exercise regimen, please check with your medical professional. As always, there is a blog post that goes along with this video at my website, pediatrictherapyessentials.com. This post has more information on the activities and exercises we did today and includes some handouts that go along with these exercises. When you're on my website, you can find out the tools and materials I use to create these videos and in these videos, and you can also check out the toolbox section, which shows you all of my favorites that are in my therapy bag. If you enjoyed today's video and found it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like. And if you know someone else that might enjoy it, please share it. If you would like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you know when I have a new video out for you. Thanks so much for stopping by today and have a great week.